Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Gemini. If Gemini is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's see what the tea leaves have for you. Okay, so just to start off, it looks like we have a large heart here, but it looks like it's being pierced by something. I think that this is probably somebody that you loved very much, somebody that you love very much. It's still fairly intact, but it seems like some kind of situation has arisen, and there's been some kind of injury to that love. We can also see that there are drops of blood or whatever substance would come out of this this heart. It is going into this spiritual, metaphysical, higher consciousness space. Okay, so this is something that not only really disturbed your emotional state, but this is something that is damaging to your spiritual well-being, to your state of mind, but also your the focus you had or have on these higher realms. Okay, the good thing is, these things can be fixed. You can get back into the right place, the place that you want to be, spiritually minded. Oftentimes these kinds of things, these kinds of conflicts, wrongdoings, breaking off of friendships, relationships, they are part of the ordeals that we all must go through, right? And sometimes it's about learning how to reconstruct that relationship, and other times it's about learning to let go and move forward. I do see this candle here with the flame kind of way above and high burning. I think that this is definitely a sign that there was something that came to light, some illumination. I wonder if this was, maybe somebody speaking against you, acting against you, maybe betraying your trust or being unfaithful, something like this. And I'm sorry to start the reading out like this, Gemini. That's not always, it's not my intention to begin on bad news. Although, this is good news. Maybe this is kind of the universe, giving you kind of a break by helping you break this thing off. Or, it's like when we're building muscle, right? When you're exercising and lifting weights and things, and you're tearing those tiny little tears in the muscle, and then they restore and they get stronger. So maybe this is a one of these situations where the relationship will end up being stronger. Okay, I kind of want to, let's see, a few other things that look really interesting here. We have this really neat bird. It looks like the ibis bird. It looks like this would be related to Thoth, which is the god of magic and knowledge and hidden things, the revealer, also a psychopomp, and many other attributes. But I do think that this is so much about things coming together for you, uncomfortable truths coming out, but also the knowledge that you have the wherewithal to get through them, but also like along the corridors of this ordeal, right? Picking up information, picking up little gems, having those downloads kind of flood over you, and really making the most of this very vulnerable and open time that you are going through. I think that, it's never easy when we are going through a period of time where we have to really kind of reevaluate the things that we wanted, the things that we were building towards, when they don't seem to be aligning in such a way that will be beneficial for us. But I will say that we got this card for the reading, and this is the 8 of discs, and this is prudence. And as you can see, this is a beautiful tree of growth, and it is the fruit is, or the blossoms are coming out and the fruit is on its way. Okay, so this is really very much about using prudence, some restraint, mindfulness, tempering, so that along with the wisdoms that you all have already cultivated throughout your life, and putting those together so that you can do the work that you want to do, so that you can get to the place that you want to go. Okay, and some of these these relationship things can be very distractive, and it depends really on how involved is this person in your life. What is your situation with them? Maybe you live with them, maybe it's somebody like a good friend that you see every day, or you're involved in a lot of things together. I mean, it really can throw off the normal activity in your life, right? Also, it could be a big blow to you emotionally and otherwise. So, I think that while this is painful, I think it's also an opportunity for growth, for reassessment, for getting refocused on the things that you want to do in your life. Maybe you're getting really focused on your work. I want to also look at this one. It is a goat, okay? And the goat for me is always somebody who is very focused on survival, right? But also being able to guide their little tribe or all parts of themselves, through those desperate, hard, unforgiving climates or landscapes, right? Kind of scaling up the side of the cliffs and really being able to make the most out of the little that is provided. So I think in these kind of moments where you maybe are going through a period of lamentation, suffering, grief, not knowing what to do, which direction to go in, maybe there are problems with communication. I think it's good to maybe turn away from trying to fix things with that in this moment and kind of refocus where you feel that you are, really just excel, right? What comes naturally to you, where you feel confident, and where you can kind of be distracted from these overwhelming emotions that may be coming through. Okay. I also see a large 3, and then we also have a 2. Okay, so maybe 32, maybe it's a 3 and a 2, maybe it's a 23. These seem like important numbers. Okay, I want you to remember those. The other thing I'm looking at here, as soon as I saw this, it reminded me very much of a samurai, although we're not really, maybe this is the sword up here, but they don't really use those curved swords like that. But it does remind me of somebody who is very skilled in their chosen path or profession. And I again think that this is very much about you turning towards focusing on the things that you really are passionate about, that make you feel like you are gaining, like you are seeing, you're looking at all of the work you've done, and you can see, you know, the build where you're building and mastering and refining, and you know, really having something to show for the work that you've done, because I think that really makes you feel, and all of us, we all feel like we're worthwhile, like like we're able, right? When we can achieve things, well, even if they're minor, right, relatively, you know, whatever it is, if it's creative, if it's in your work, building a business, you know, interrelations with people in your life, caretaking, you know, I mean, it could be applied to anything, but I think that's where you need to go. And I think as we're talking about this, it's, you know what I'm talking about. And I think just focusing on doing what is important to you, okay? Trying to resist getting into these conflicts with this person that you do love, right? And they do love you. I can see that on all sides. There are hearts on all sides. But whatever happened, you know, I think that it's important to refrain from saying or doing anything that is too lasting, letting some time pass, right? And focusing on those other things where you can kind of feel a little, you know, just very minorly healed in yourself, right? Before you kind of turn back and deal with this other stuff that's going on. And that can be very difficult if you're living with somebody. I understand that. But, you know, if you have it in you, you know, take a beat, right? Just take a little moment and think over what you want to say, what you want to do. What do you really want? What do you want this? What do you want this to be, kind of a catalyst for change in your life? How do you want this to work for you? Okay. And you know, easier said than done. I know, believe me. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And I see here, there's very much a dragon, and oh, another dragon over here. So I see that you are two fiery people, right? And it seems like there's a lot of emotion happening. I think that, you know, it's going to be difficult to kind of step back and not get into those arguments, into those kind of emotional tug of wars. And, you know, I understand it. Sometimes I think sometimes I just like to argue for the sake of arguing, if I'm being honest with you. I don't even always know why I am. So I understand, but I also think that in this situation, there's no reason to burn everything to the ground. Okay, I think showing some restraint and really giving yourself some space, giving your person that you do love and care about some space, and and just trying to kind of get along until you both are ready to talk about this thing, okay? And then I see up here, I see this person, it almost looks like they're kind of, I wanted to say it looked like they were jumping for joy. It kind of seems like they're kind of swaying in the wind. And I get this imagery of just kind of, you know, letting the wind take you where it does. And maybe that's something you need to think about doing as well in this time. Maybe just allowing yourself to, you know, be a little more spontaneous, maybe go to places that you don't usually go, kind of see where life takes you for, you know, an afternoon or whatever. That might feel like a good reset for you, okay? I also see these arrows here. One's going this way, one's going this way. I think that really you don't know exactly what you're going to do or, you know, how you feel about it. So again, I think this just really tells me that there needs to be some time taken, some care taken, okay? And I just want to point out this beautiful little goddess figure right here. And I think that, you know, for whenever I see the goddess like that, the mother goddess, the primordial goddess, I think you're being watched over, you're being cared for, you're being loved on. Spirit is with you. And, you know, whatever happens, you're going to be watched over. So, you know, let go of some of that, anxiety, that hurt if you can, and just be held, okay? And go to the people that love you and support you. You know, those people are there in your life for a reason. You have each other for a reason. And when you're feeling like this, it's a good time to call on them to, you know, be your support system, okay? All right, now let's check this one out. And I keep almost seeing like an M in these. And in this one too, the 3 also looks like the M in the dragon. That looks like, kind of looks like an M. So I think an M is also maybe important here. But I also think it reminds me that, you know, there are going to be some mountains to climb coming up here. And that makes sense with what's going on. And I think really, you know, also I didn't point this out before, but we have this little mountain climber, okay? It's kind of a person right here kind of climbing the peak of this mountain. And so I really think that, you know, you're going to get there. It's, you know, any kind of hiking or mountain climbing is never going to be easy, but if you keep your mind to it, I really think that, you know, intentionally turning away from these emotions that you either, you know, you just maybe want to be destructive, you want to cut everything off, you just want to take off, or just totally cut this relationship off or whatever. I think really just, you know, taking it slower, trying to climb that mountain slowly until you get to that point where you are ready to decide. Because I think if you go too quickly, it's going to be something that becomes a cycle if it's not already a cycle. So take your time and be mindful about, you know, where you go with this. And I guess that's really all I'm trying to say about that. I'm a fairly impulsive person, so I, you know, even just thinking about it, I know, you know, for me it's like I've just, you know, I'm done. And it's like, you know, and then I backpedal, and then it's, you know, like a whole thing. And you know, in prior relationships, it's been really hard for me to kind of get a handle on. And, you know, it takes a lot of work and practice. But I think this is a good time for you to, you know, just try to reel it in a little bit. Of course, take care of yourself, be safe, and, you know, and have your support system around you. Okay, so that is the reading tonight, and I want to thank you so much for joining me and spending your time with me. I'm always so honored to bring these messages to you. If you would be so kind as to like the video, that helps me get into the algorithm. If you have not subscribed, please think about doing so. Other than that, if you want to leave a comment, I love hearing from each and every one of you. You all are so kind, so sweet, and I appreciate you. Okay, Gemini, we will talk again in about 7 days. Thank you, thank you, thank you.